But don't you worry. You just, sit back. It'll all be fine. Morning, you gorgeous people. This is the 10 o'clock news from the EV Café, brought to you this week by Churchill Expert. Bespoke insurance for those that like something a little different. Oh, yes. And today I'm joined by a little different, Sam and Sarah. Greetings both. Are you well?
Yes, very well, thank you. Yeah, on holiday at the moment. But...
Right, so Sam's on holiday. Sarah?
I'm on my way to my hot desk in the Cotswolds.
Hot desk. Anyway, today we've got those two here. Paul's not making it because he's filming a van or something. Anyway, grab a cuppa and plug in for the latest in clean transport and sustainability news, because today we will be talking about whether someone will shell out for an oil giant's renewables. See what I did there? JLR owner to build the UK Gigafactory. Everybody knows about it, but we're going to cover it. Taxing times for the UK government as EVs erode revenue. Shock horror. Royal Mail to fuel HGVs with HVO. And Iveco goes autonomous in Germany. But first, did you catch the hilarious myth-busting webinar quiz on Wednesday, just gone, with Natalia Peralta Silverstone of Octopus EV, Niall Neil Riddle of Power, and pole-to-pole adventurer Chris Ramsey? It was, quite frankly, one of the funniest things I think we've ever done. And if you haven't caught it, go catch it, because it was very, very funny. And we found out that Sam doesn't know everything.
Yes, quite.
What?
He's speechless. Anyway, let's say hello to some people. Leah, hello, my sweetie. Colin Hennessy, bless you, my friend. Dan Martin, always here. Means the world to us. Michael Anderson, Laura from Power, we love you. Daryl Sharp, Ben McDonald, Darren Gardner, and the legend that is Niall Neil Riddle from Power. Hello, gorgeous. Right, so if you want to see the webinar that happened, go and search on LinkedIn, the EV Cafe. Scroll down about 3 posts and you will find a recording of what we did on Wednesday. 1 hour of fun and frolics with Natalia from Octopus, Neil Niall from Power, and Chris Ramsey. It was a hoot. Now then, let's start with the news, shall we? Oil giant Shell is looking at sale options for its renewable power business, informed whispers suggest. Shell is considering a possible part sale of its green power operations to an external investor, or separation of the business into a more independent unit, said Bloomberg, citing sources with knowledge of the issue. The UK-based oil and gas supermajor has over the last few years taken up positions in renewables and green power, ranging from offshore wind, including floating, to energy storage. The company has this year been the subject of a refocusing on its core oil and gas operations under new CEO Whale, what a great name, Whale or Vile Sawan, who has said that its upstream hydrocarbons business is centre stage. Oh dear. Several high-profile renewable energy executives have recently left the business, including Thomas Bronstrom, the former Ørsted high flyer, who was recruited to lead Shell's push into offshore wind. Now, this is a big story because I kind of like Shell and I kind of like what they do, or thought I did. But if they're looking at getting rid of their renewables and offshore and all that stuff, that leaves a bit of a sour taste. What do you think, Sam? It's only a whisper at this stage, but what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's a whisper, isn't it? And it's a news story which I still want to know why. I don't know why they've done it. What is the strategic reason for doing it? That's the thing which we still haven't really uncovered here. For a company that earns tens of thousands of pounds a second out of oil, I'd love to know the reasoning as to why they're choosing to siphon off this element of their business. So more questions than answers for me.
Siphon, was that a deliberate pun?
No. Thank you for pointing out the dad joke. I didn't even know I did. That's great.
But I think it's interesting that they've got two options. It's either divest and get rid, or it's invest and keep it as part of their portfolio. And the scary bit for me was the hydrocarbons mentioned, that's centre stage. What do you think, Sarah? That's a bit bonkers, isn't it?
I just think it might be a very expensive PR activity to remove that bit that they are doing their best. They are trying to do as much renewable activity as possible. I think last year, so 2022, it was 1.5% of their total expenditure went into the renewable arm of Shell, which of course actually equated to a lot. It's like 3 billion or something. So it was a lot, but the slow clap is, I think that's the reaction. Because if you had a business that said, I've put 3 billion into renewable energy, people would go, that's amazing, well done. But because it's oil money and because it only accounts for 1.5%, I think that's possibly why they're keen to kind of segregate and separate out.
Yeah, I think we need to keep digging on this one because I do have a soft spot for Shell, and I do think that there are some good news stories in big oil. I think the BP recently invested a huge amount in and Total 7 gigawatt offshore wind tender that was announced last week. They won it, and it's becoming an integration into the key aspect of their business case. So there are moves to use oil money for good, but yeah, just need to watch this one. Sam?
I just want to see past tense news, not future tense news from these companies, because it's just all, we're going to invest this and we're going to do that and we're striving to achieve this, and they don't ever do anything. So that's a bit unfair, but the point I think I'm trying to make is do something and then talk about it. Say, look at what we've built, look what we've created, look what we've spent money on, rather than talking about doing it, which is incredibly frustrating. And that's the greenwash that these guys are professionals at, sadly.
Sam will always keep your nose to the grindstone and keep you honest. Moving on. Tata, the owner of Jaguar Land Rover, has confirmed it will build a £4 billion electric vehicle battery factory in the UK. It hasn't yet, Sam. I take your point, but it has said it well. The new gigafactory in Somerset, one of the biggest in Europe, will have the capacity to produce 40 gigawatt hours of cells annually. It will make batteries for JLR and expects to supply other manufacturers, with production starting in 2026. Rishi Sunak said, blah, 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 blah. It will not only create thousands of skilled jobs for Britons around the country, but it will also strengthen our lead in the global transition to electric vehicles. Keep telling yourself that, my friend. We've got an awful lot more to do. The plant is Tata's first outside India and is expected to create 4,000 UK jobs and thousands more in the wider supply chain. I make light of it and what the government are saying because frankly they've had little to do with it, but this has to be good news for the automotive sector, Sarah, don't you think?
Oh, I'm completely into it. I realise it's the third time that the same site has been up for grabs for different manufacturing facilities, but I think we said on a previous EV Café news when the news broke, but I stand by it. It's such a great location, crying out for employment opportunities next to the M5. You can also do exporting via Avonmouth and into the strategic road network. So it would really put us on the map and increase the GDP. So I'm all for it. I can't see any immorality there. I think JLR have been long in the game, but this will just boost them.
We just need to see it happen, don't we, Sam?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and just to caveat, the previous comments, John. It's important that we hear about news about things that are upcoming, but it's boy who cried wolf for me. So this is great news, and it's important that we know about it before it happens. So let's just see it delivered, and it's great. What the boy who cried wolf bit for me is when people constantly say they're going to do something and it never happens. So yeah, it's important we get future news, and this is great news for the UK. So let's hope it comes to fruition.
From the boy who cried wolf to Wolverine. I mean, this is what you're turning into, my friend. What's going on here?
Holiday laziness. I make no excuse. Well, that is my excuse.
Let's say hello to a few more people. Ashley Bannister, good morning. Bob Murphy, it's going out to you, my friend. Scott Bradley, Ben McDonald, yes, hi. Toby Hiles, always here. Sorry to be late, don't do it again. Leon Gomez, also late, but in fairness, he did say he'll get the coffees in, which is good. Paul O'Brien, good morning, sir. And Sam Dewhurst, greetings one and all. Efforts to tackle climate change by transitioning away from fossil fuels are rapidly eroding the $39 billion the government currently receives in tax revenues from petrol and diesel vehicles, according to the Office for Budget Responsibility. The Treasury is expected to collect $24.3 billion in fuel tax duty this year, 23-24, but the increased take-up of electric vehicles is expected to cost $13 billion a year in lost fuel duty by 2030, it says. Several tax bases are at risk of being eroded by behavioural or technological change. This is particularly true for emissions-linked taxes as the UK transitions to net zero. As an industry, we urgently require clarity and long-term thinking on items such as renewable fuels and how future motoring taxes can replace fuel duty. Providing clear direction is vital for our industry to invest with confidence. And we, the EV Café, call upon the government to sort your act out because we need to know what the future holds. Sarah, you were in Parliament this week. How was it?
Yeah, you were meant to be there.
I know, but I was tired.
No, it was really good. It was the launch of the Renewable Energy Association's paper, which was done in collaboration, all about laying out exactly how we roll out EV charging faster with recommendations, basically, to stop people making mistakes and slowing things down. So it's great to be there. But I would say, I loved your sentence about we need long-term strategic thinking. Saw this coming ages ago. Yet another moment where people tried to galvanise interest in EV by making it cheaper, by taking away the road tax and then enticing high earners, as it was, to come and buy those early pieces that were more expensive than they are today. So I'm like, surely they saw this coming. And also, I haven't seen any concrete evidence, concrete was another dad joke, I suppose, about where they're going to get that money from with the road tax and everything included. So what?
I mean, I saw it coming. I was in the Scottish Government of 2010, and you could see that it was going to happen if there was a revolution in electric vehicles. And what did happen, then clearly there was going to be an impact on revenue. Daryl Sharp says, how much would it cost to recover 13 billion over the 6 years by increasing taxes on internal combustion engines? Yeah, that's going to be that kind of stick approach. And Sam, I know you like a good stick. You have Sticky 1 and Sticky 2 from your boys. Sticky 1, of course, got lost. A gift to a dad, and these things are precious. So is the stick the appropriate way of getting the EV transition quicker?
I think you guys have summed it up nicely. I think there are sticks and carrots, and we need both in this particular context. But the only point I would add to this, and I've said this for many years, is that I think we need a wider lens in many ways. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we trying to electrify rather than burn fuels? It's because it's bad for us and it's bad for the planet. If we're able to support zero emission transport, then the air that we breathe will be better, and hopefully we don't have the likes of the deaths that we've seen from people like Ella Kisadebra on air quality. That's going to have a material effect on saving money by virtue of people not being so ill. So perhaps, hopefully we can save billions in pounds in NHS costs as a result of people breathing proper air, not bad air. So I think for me, whilst I can't deny that we've lost a lot of tax revenues through EV incentives and that needs to change, we've also got to look at a wider lens in terms of what benefits we're creating and what money is being saved in other parts of our wider economy. So perhaps the maths needs to go a little bit further afield and say, all right, well, it's costing us money here, but it's saving us money over here. So we can net those things off, and we've got a better planet in the process. So I'd like to see a little bit of a wider lens personally, to try and see, from a government economic point of view, to see, what the impact really is.
Yeah,
that was a great question. He says, how much would it cost to recover the 13 billion over 6 years by increasing tax on ice? And Neil Riddell's got in there. But there was another one about air quality and as you say, Sam, the health-related impacts of that. So fingers crossed that we can see some evidence. I love the whole slider puzzle, move that money there, move that money there. But we know that isn't how the government taxation system works. So, it's just tough.
Can I just say, Chris Demetriou is clearly needing more medication in that he said, well said, Sam. So he agrees with Sam. Who knew?
I mean,
Jay Murray Patel, hello. Mike Fisher, you're late. Where you been? Yes, hello, people. Lovely people. Right, let's move on. Royal Mail is ditching diesel to fuel some of its HGV fleet in favour of a renewable diesel alternative, hydro-treated vegetable oil, or HVO. HVO is a drop-in fossil fuel biofuel that can cut up to 90% of greenhouse gas emissions, according to figures from Certas Energy, and does not require any engine or fueling infrastructure modifications. Royal Mail's Sheffield Mail Centre, the Midlands Super Hub and Manchester Vehicle Operating Centre are the first sites to transition to HVO, with 4 more locations to follow in the coming months. Using HVO at these sites will save a combined consumption of 2.1 million litres of diesel this year. And then we've got 5,000 electric vehicles being deployed at Sheffield City Delivery Office, where more than 50 EVs on site are being used for delivery and collection functions. Royal Mail's rollout of EVs includes many more cities where low emission zones are enforced, including London, Bristol, Glasgow, Cambridge and Oxford. Sam, few years ago, you were involved in this kind of logistics transition to EV. It's not easy, but it's really important that we see leadership in this area from the big logistics firms.
Yeah, indeed. And there's other hauliers that are also looking at the HVO solution or already have done. And that's okay, I think, because ultimately it's another stepping stone to a better solution than what we have today. You're still burning stuff. You know, even at GridServe, we're using HVO generators to create energy in areas where we're waiting for grid connections. And the trade-off is, do we not install chargers and wait and wait and wait, or do we find a solution to try and mitigate the problem for the short term until such time as we've got the energy that can come from the renewable sources that we know and love? So, you know, I think even in my sphere of understanding and world, you know, sometimes these things need to happen in order to find the next stage. So yeah, it's still burning stuff. We've still got to stop doing that. But I think it's a logical step and another transition, providing they're doing it concurrently with electrification of the fleets of the vehicles that can be done. Then that's okay. I think that's fine. Yeah, but it's got a shelf life in terms of the transition we need to see to zero emission, proper zero emission. But it's a step in the right direction, and it does have a huge benefit to the amount of emissions that come out the back. So yeah, I think it's a necessary evil in a way, but not necessarily, you know, providing these things are well articulated and the reasoning why, then I think there's a reasonable justification for it, and then we crack on and keep getting better.
Mm-hmm. Daryl Sharp says, is that the fuel similar to what Seb Vettel's suggesting for Formula One, the race without trace approach? And it is. It's in the same ballpark. We saw Seb Vettel's vehicle at Goodwood when we were there as guests of the AA, which was incredibly kind. We had a good afternoon on the Friday afternoon, engaging with people, talking to them about electric vehicles and the transition, and trying to bust the myths, because frankly there's an awful lot of twaddle talks about electric vehicles. It is easy. I've driven 2,400 miles in the last 2 weeks in an electric vehicle. I've had one connector fail in all of that time. And there was one right next door that worked. So, I don't know, get over yourselves. Right, let's move on, shall we? I said that really, didn't I?
I think you need to get a tipper truck, John. Your next vehicle needs to be a tipper truck, and see if that's as easy to get all the way to
Well, now then,
Challenge.
I might be doing my HGV license.
Oh, I'm so jealous, really.
Yeah, there's a heads up. Yeah, I want to become the EV Cafe truck expert. So I've already started the process of getting my HGV license. Anyway, Iveco has started testing Plus Drive, its autonomous driver assistance system on public roads in Germany, using AI-based autonomous driving software and advanced sensors, including LiDARs, radars, and cameras. Plus Drive claims to provide drivers with superhuman awareness of the vehicle's surroundings. The system was developed as part of a partnership between Iveco and autonomous trucking company Plus. Public road testing will continue in Germany over the next several months and expand to Austria, France, Italy and Switzerland, so that real-world data can be collected from a range of different roadways and driving conditions. Autonomous vehicles, Sarah, really? Is it going to happen, or am I going to be in a box by the time we get there?
I don't know. I remember reading about a truck trial that was going to have a dedicated lane, which of course then takes away all of the concerns around safety. But technology is advancing. Chris Ramsey was on the show, on our EV Cafe webinar on Wednesday, and then subsequently shared some genuine footage that he had seen of, I think it was a taxi vehicle perhaps, where he was travelling doing his pole-to-pole adventure. And, you know, I just thought, gosh, this might sneak up on us faster than we think. And if you get the chance to go to a show this year and get the chance to go in a lorry driver's cab, already the camera work, the information the driver receives kind of makes the driver go, well, I've just got to sit here and press this button. So it already makes me think that it's advancing far beyond my knowledge. It's fascinating. I'm really glad you're covering this story.
Oh, bless you. You're too kind. Now then, an interesting way to finish the news today is Bob Murphy's just said, we need to think of a CB radio handle for John. Oh. I used CB years ago, and I had a handle. Let's see what the... I'm frightened to go there, but let's see. Sam, what would your CB handle be if you had one?
You can't put that.
I can. I just have. Yes, Sarah.
Well, my initials are SS, so I'm going to be Secret Squirrel.
Secret Squirrel, like it. Sam? Viewers can suggest, if you like, stick it in the chat.
EV Badger.
EV Badger, Captain Cave Pillock. And I used to play reasonably high level rugby, and so I was known as Rugger Bugger. But there we are. That's true. That's absolutely true. Because my nickname was Bug. Bilbo Baggins, Buggins, Bug. Ruggerbug, there you go, now you know. If you have any clean transport, PR or news stories that you'd like us to cover, you must be mad, but please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from them too, and thank you for joining us. This has been an EV Cafe production brought to you this week by Churchill Expert, part of the Direct Line Group. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just funner.
Wait, he didn't cover his face this time. We're making progress.
We're getting there. The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with Geotab EV Civil Solutions, the AA, Plug Me In, Churchill Insurance, Spiri, Hydrock, Interval, Kersha, and McIntyre Hudson. We are the EV Cafe, supporting the transition to clean transport. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend, wherever it takes you. Sam, more holiday?
A little bit.
Yeah.
When you're back?
Monday.
Were you ever away? No.
Not really.
Sarah, what are you up to?
Well, shout out to absolutely everybody whose children break up from school today. There's going to be a lot of emotion around their children finishing primary, moving on to secondary in my friendship circles. So today I'll be based over there and then hoping to catch some thunderstorms in Devon.
Oh, how gorgeous. Yes, try to swim hard if you can. I will also be dealing with water. I'm plumbing in a new sink. It's likely to be as wet inside the house as it will be outside the house. Until next week, thank you kindly. Love you lots. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that went okay.
That's great. Well done.